All right, so ready to dive into this face-off for the ages. We're talking Marduk versus Zeus, Babylonian creation king, going head-to-head with the Greek god of thunder. I mean, talk about a legendary showdown. And we love a good who would win debate as much as anyone, but we're going to try to go a little bit deeper on this one.
What really gets me about these two is they're like the ultimate example of contrasting leadership styles. I mean, we're talking about totally different approaches to power, authority, stuff that still resonates even like today.
Totally. And to really, I guess, wrap our heads around this clash of the Titans, we got to start with like their roots, their origin stories, right?
Exactly. So Marduk, right. He is top dog in the Babylonian pantheon, their king of creation. But, and this is key, he wasn't just like born into it. This guy earned it. And I mean earned it by conquering primordial chaos.
Okay, hold on. Even just saying like primordial chaos is giving me chills. What does that even look like? Help me out here.
Okay, so imagine this. It's like this cosmic soup of like raw potential, but also danger. Kind of like, remember when you were talking about mention a source related to beginnings, creation myths, or the listener's work interest. It's a lot like that. And this chaos, it's got a name, Tiamat. Now picture a dragon, but we're not talking like Game of Thrones size here. This thing makes Godzilla look like a gecko. Marduk goes toe-to-toe with this monster, wins, and then uses its body to literally like sculpt the world.
Okay, so talk about a ground-up leadership style. No wonder this guy was worshipped.
Right. He's the embodiment of order from chaos, the ultimate triumph of civilization over the unknown. So like when you think Marduk, think architect, meticulously designing and ruling over his creation.
Got it. The architect king. Got it. Okay, so then you've got Zeus, Mr. Olympus. Usually got those lightning bolts crackling around him. So is he just all raw power then?
Oh, Zeus has power for sure, no doubt about that. But he's not just about brute force. I think of him more as like the ultimate upholder of balance. See, if Marduk's the architect, then Zeus is more like the warden.
A warden. Interesting. So less about building something brand new and more about preserving what's already there.
Exactly. The guardian of cosmic order. He's all about upholding those rules, those established boundaries. And when someone steps out of line, disrupts the balance, that's when you get the lightning bolts. It's a very, how do I put this, purposeful kind of force, don't you think?
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see the contrast here for sure. Marduk, meticulous builder. Zeus, ever vigilant protector. Both about authority, but in totally different ways. And that, I'm guessing, is where things get really interesting when they clash, right?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just about who's got the bigger biceps, We're talking a clash of ideologies here. Two totally different approaches to power going head to head. And the really wild part, this isn't just some abstract mythology thing. These are tensions that play out in the real world all the time. Even in mention a relevant example from listener sources or field of work.
Okay, all right, now you've got me hooked. Let's talk about this epic showdown. What happens when these two finally collide? So, all right, let's get into it. It's the architect of order, Marduk, up against the guardian of the cosmos himself, Zeus. It's like the ultimate throwdown. What happens when these two unstoppable forces actually, collide?
Okay, try to picture this. You've got the realms of these gods, Mesopotamia, Mount Olympus. They're practically merging as these powers clash. I mean, we are talking about earthquakes that could swallow cities whole, storms that could blot out the sun. This is a battle for the ages, no doubt.
Okay, well, I'm getting full-on movie scene vibes here. That's epic. But I'm guessing this is more than just a visual spectacle.
Right.
How do their fighting styles, how does that tie into their whole approach to power,
Yeah, you're right on the money with that. It's all connected. So Marduk, true to form, he's out there commanding the elements, but it's almost like he's an artist, He's wielding a brush, winds, floods. We're even talking bending the very fabric of reality here. He's reshaping the battlefield to his will the same way he shaped the world from Tiamat's remains.
Yeah, right. That makes sense with his whole, creating the world origin story. It's almost like an extension of that power.
Yeah, exactly. It's he's not just fighting Zeus. This is about imposing his own version of order on the chaos of battle itself.
Wow. Okay, so then you have Zeus. And his approach is what? Totally different?
Oh, yeah.
Let me guess. A little less finesse, more pure, unadulterated power. Right. It's if I hit it hard enough, it'll just have to submit to order.
You're not wrong, Zeus. He unleashes those lightning bolts, and it is like a divine artillery barrage. But here's the thing, and it's a crucial nuance. It's not like a mindless rage fueling those bolts. This is controlled, focused, purposeful source. It's he's the immovable object, standing firm against this absolute onslaught.
Okay, so it's unstoppable force meets immovable object. This is fascinating. But I got to ask, how does this god-level showdown, how does this relate to us mere mortals, right? I mean, how do we see these forces at work in, say, like, mention a relevant field based on the listener's interests or background, exactly business, politics, art?
See, that's the real question here, isn't it? It's insightful. Because neither Marduk nor Zeus is inherently, like, good or bad. They're more like archetypes, representations of these different approaches to leadership, to power, that, I mean, let's be honest, we still grapple with even today.
So it's not about picking a side, really. It's more like
Yeah.
recognizing these different, like, facets of leadership,
Yeah.
in ourselves, in the world around us.
Absolutely. Think about it. You mentioned a specific leader or situation from the listener sources in your notes earlier, right? There's some serious Marduk energy there, don't you think? Like that drive to reshape things, to create something totally new basically from scratch.
Wow, you're totally right. I never even made that connection before. It's like I'm looking at the situation from the listener's notes through a completely different lens now. But, I mean, where does that leave Zeus then in the real world? He almost seems, I don't know, less flashy, but obviously no less powerful.
Right, and that's what's important to remember. Think of, I don't know, like a judge, someone who upholds the law, even when it's difficult. Or even just like on a smaller scale, that friend who always has your back no matter what. See, that's a very Zeus-like strength. It's not always flashy, but it's powerful. It's about being that anchor, when everything else is like a storm, providing that stability, that structure.
Okay, I get it. So we were talking about this Marduk versus Zeus battle, and yeah, it's a cool myth, but it's also like this framework for understanding these very different approaches to leadership, right?
Yes.
It's like a psychology lesson, but disguised as an epic throwdown. Speaking of, I have to ask, in this mythical showdown, who comes out on top? Does either god actually manage to win?
See, this is where it gets really, really fascinating.
So you're saying this whole Clash of the Titans thing, it doesn't even like end with a clear winner? That's kind of not what I was expecting.
See, but that's what makes this story so great. It's not predictable. It's like you think you know where it's going, but then boom, it gives you this whole other, more nuanced way to look at power, Not just win or loss, but something way more interesting. So picture this, Marduk, right? All that power, but he's pushed to the absolute edge, like about to lose control, tapping into that pure Tiamat essence, that primordial chaos he literally conquered to create order in the first place.
Whoa, hold on. So he's like this close to becoming the very thing he fought against. That's intense and a little bit scary, when you think about how easily power can corrupt, even with good intentions.
Exactly. Even a god, someone like Marduk, can get swept up if they're not careful. It's a powerful message. Now, on the other side, you got Zeus. He is hurting, man. Marduk has really let loose. But here's the thing. Zeus, he doesn't break. He's still standing.
It's like less about physical strength at that point, more about resilience, willpower, that feeling you get with those leaders who face something huge, but their values, those never wavered.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really good. So Marduk, he's seeing the world might actually unravel, right? The danger of what he's doing, it finally clicks. He sees Zeus all beat up but unbroken. And in that moment, something shifts. It's not like surrender, but recognition. He gets it. Zeus's unwavering spirit.
So not a knockout punch ending the fight, but more like a moment of self-awareness, like realizing sometimes the strongest thing you can do is actually hold back.
You got it. It ends not with this huge bang, but with this, I don't know, like this understanding. They both go back to their own realms, forever changed, not just from facing each other, but from facing the limits of their own power. Marduk, the architect, he learns that control isn't always the answer. Sometimes holding back, that's the most powerful move.
Which I bet is a hard lesson when you're used to just like shaping the world to your liking.
Oh, totally. And Zeus, right, the guardian, he's reminded that true strength, it's about weathering those storms, but also not losing yourself in the process. It's that commitment, that steadfastness that people look up to.
This whole deep dive has been, I know, it really makes you think. Like you said at the beginning, you see these Marduk and Zeus archetypes everywhere, even in ourselves.
Right. And I think seeing those archetypes in ourselves, knowing the different tools, the approaches to leadership, that's powerful stuff. It's finding that balance between shaping the world and protecting it, knowing when to push and when to, hold the line.
You've given us so much to think about today. Clash of the Titans, different faces of leadership, and that's sometimes holding back. That's the hardest but most important move.
It's a conversation people have been having for centuries, really.
For sure. So for everyone out there listening, diving deep with us on this, just remember, the real battle isn't between some gods, it's within us, as we figure out this whole power thing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and as always, keep diving deep.